So what Harris and I want to do, Harris, we want to take a few minutes just to sort of ruminate, I guess, over what we heard in the last couple of days, and just maybe get some feedback from you guys. But I'm going to let Harris talk first, because because I want to close it.
That's okay. Well, first of all, on behalf of GHSA, I want to thank NHTSA and all their folks and the entire team that put this together. Did they do a great job? Will you thank them, please? How many of you are going back home saying, I've got some work to do? Yeah. You know, I remember 7 years ago when we had this in Atlanta, this big discussion about media and television and this little piece of pie about social media. And it seems like this has been the big piece of pie about social media. And, oh, yeah, there's television still. You know, I have learned over the years to be a little more receptive to new ideas. I can remember about 40 years ago, I was sitting around and doing some of the things that Nick was talking about earlier with some friends, and a friend of mine said, you know, they're going to have a channel on TV that's going to be all sports 24 hours a day. And I said, that'll never work. But I was wrong. I think the program content here today has just been these couple of days have been great. But you know what's really important, and I hope you're going home, and I say this whenever we get together with our other states, I hope you're going home with a pocket full of business cards that are not your own. And by that I mean I hope you've met someone who has given you a good idea, and you're going to call them. That's what, that's been the best benefit of being involved in this association, is that there are people you can get on the phone and say, hey, tell me how y'all did this. Tell me what worked. Tell me what didn't work. You know, if you see something, you can, you've got this great networking. And I hope that you had some time networking in the halls or at lunch or at, hanging around after a session. I hope that you were able to do that, because that's what this is all about. And, this is a challenging time for communicators. We've got an audience that's overwhelmed. I'll be so glad to leave Virginia because I don't want to see any more about the governor's race. I don't know if you watch any television, he's the worst guy in the world. No, he's the worst guy. Yeah. And we've got new media channels, we've got all kinds of platforms, all kinds of new best practices, and sometimes, not everybody's got great ideas, and I want to tell you something. We've got great ideas in this room. This has been a great collection of ideas, and not everybody gets it right. They showed you the pretty side of the campaign. There's probably a downside somewhere. I'm positive about things. I'm the kind of guy that I keep digging in the pile of manure, hoping there's a pony in there somewhere. But anyhow, we can work together. A couple of takeaways I want to share with you. First of all, we have a challenging message to sell. A lot of ours just don't. And if you do, you might live. People like that part of it. Safety's the common goal, and people want to be safe, but sometimes they don't want to be told, all too often. Flexibility is the key. Same approach used to go work for every person every time. Just doesn't happen. And we run our high visibility enforcement campaigns, but those messages are needed year round. And we're able to do the campaigns that we do, and we do a good job with them, but we're trying to find a way to keep that message flowing. We've got, it's sort of like taking vitamin pills. If you go down here to the Rite Aid drugstore and you get a vitamin pill and you take one, tomorrow you're not going to feel better. But if you keep taking it over a few days, you might say, well, I feel a little better than I did a while back. We need that constant exposure, and we need that message out there, of that message of safety. And let's keep working together. We need to have you know, we on the website at NHTSA, you've got some ideas exchange. If you know something, just because your commercial's not as glamorous or sexy or something, put it up there. Let's let everybody see it. Let's share those ideas. And you know, we can do that. We can do that. And you know, sometimes I ask myself, you know, I get this report every morning. This morning, 1,248 people have been killed on the roads of my state since January 1st. That's one every 5 3/4 hours. And that tears my guts up. I feel I'm the highway safety director for the state of Georgia, and I sometimes feel like, what could I have done to make that different? You know, if we'd have made our TV spots different, if we'd done something, could we share that message? Could we bought another billboard? Because what is a life worth? You know, they had the list the other day of the richest people in the country. Is you know, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and all the usual suspects. What's your life worth? You know, if I get mauled in the street down here by a bus and they take me to Fairfax or George Washington or wherever they take me, and they say, well, we spent $999,000 on putting Harris back together, and the limit's $1 million, would you want them to stop? No. What we do, every dollar we spend is about saving people's lives. And we spend millions of dollars across this room trying to save people's lives. And, you know, if somebody if one person watches, it's worth it. If 20,000 people watch, it's really worth it. It's great. We are carrying the torch that is very, very important in what we do. I want two things. I hope you have a safe trip back to wherever you're going. I hope that you have August of next year, because the GHSA conference is going to be the greatest city in the United States, the great city of Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to put on a show like you've never seen before. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but I spent some time the other day with Dikembe Mutombo, who played for the Hawks and the Philadelphia 76ers. He's 7'4". I'm 5'4". And I said, "How would you come to our conference?" "Come." I said, "Great." And then we'd also talk with Shaq. So we have big basketball players, if nothing else. But anyhow, we're going to have fun in Atlanta. It's a great time to be there. And if you haven't attended a GHSA conference, I want you to go. And every morning when you come in the office and your boss or whoever makes the travel decisions there, you know, send them an email, say, "I really need to make that trip to Atlanta." If you do that every day, you'll feel, if like vitamin pills, you'll feel so much better. But thank you. And take these ideas home, folks. Take the, you know, I have a, you know, I wish I had sort of a, you know, I've made notes and things along the way, but, you know, I sort of feel like my head is a little spinning, and I'll kind of deprogram on the way home and make a lot of notes of things that we could do in our state and hopefully to make things better and leave it a little better than we found it. Sue, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, the good news is my head is spinning as well, but we have taped all of these sessions, so they will be on TSM. Once we get them edited and things. So if you want to remember something that you heard in a session, you can go to TSM and take a look at these. So I just have a couple of things I want to say, because I think Harris was very articulate and said almost everything that I have on my list. But it always happens if I follow you. But I too want to say some things. Kara Masick, Joe Cristalli, you two, where are you guys? We could not have done it without you. Critical in terms of representing the states and making sure that we made this conference something that would be of interest to you, not of something we just thought would be of interest to you, like sometimes happens from Washington. And Chelsea, where are you? Chelsea Crawford, this would never have happened without all of your help in pulling all the logistics and things together. me. Harris mentioned being in the forum in Atlanta. I was at the first forum in New York, and I was reminded today that what we talked about was TV, radio, and posters. That was the year that the iPod came out, and one of our speakers was talking about the iPod and that he was projecting that communications was going to go mobile, portable, and all of us in the room. That's good. And somebody finally raised their hand and said, "What's an iPod?" I mean, thinking about that from 2004 to where we are today is beyond remarkable. Harris is right. I mean, it's just, there's so much going on out there. Our first speaker, Pete, put up the slide, tough sledding. I think I should put it up again, tough sledding, because that's kind of where I feel like I am right now. Lots of ideas, lots of good information, but our work is just really, really hard work. And the good news about this is I'm hoping that you are going home with 150 new friends, 150 new contacts, talk to each other, call us. We would love to hear from the states and what you guys are doing. We don't get to hear that very often. Please post your stuff on Traffic Safety Marketing. Call us with your ideas because, you know, we sit in Washington and it is a bizarre world. A bizarre world. And keeping in touch with what's going on at the state and local level is still ultimately what we really need to be all about and what we really need to be thinking about. So please don't hesitate to pick up the phone and give us a holler. Pete said I had a story. And all this week, I never heard the word stories in any of our other forums. Stories are what we hear now. My story isn't about anybody dying in my family. I feel very fortunate. But I worked in the state of Oklahoma as the seatbelt and child seat coordinator. Last day on the job, I took a job, I was going to the Denver regional office. Last day on the job, I get a phone call. And it's from a woman who heard, because in those days, you know, we went out and gave a lot of presentations at the Rotary and the Red Cross and the PTO and things like that. I took my buddy Clickles, and off we went to give a presentation. And a woman called me up and said, "I heard your presentation. I have never put my kid in a car seat. I went and bought a car seat after listening to you. Put the kid in the car seat. 2 weeks later, Highway Patrol said, your daughter would be dead if she wasn't in this car seat." It was the last phone call I got in the Oklahoma Highway Safety Office. I think about that phone call all the time. It's the thing that, you know, 35 years, I'm still here, and it's the reason why. Because I did one thing, and who would have thought it would have that kind of an impact? So, that's my story. And I know every one of you has many, many stories to tell. So I want to close on one thing. So today, in one of the sessions, somebody said to me, have you guys thought about doing something before Thanksgiving? Because the night before Thanksgiving is one of the biggest college drinking nights ever. And I was like, we've never thought about it because we're so busy thinking about seatbelts. And I have a college kid, and I can attest to what a big night that Wednesday night is. They come home from school, they go out to the bars, they meet all of their buddies, and last year at Thanksgiving, he was just a mess. He had a terrible time at that Thanksgiving dinner table. And when I said to him, what is wrong with you? Yeah, you think? So we're going to have words this year before he goes out. But anyway, one of the things we had, so she mentioned that to me, and we've been kicking around in our office about, we're trying to like build up a conversation about drunk driving again, because we're not talking about it, and yet we're still killing a third of our fatalities are still alcohol related. So we're thinking about maybe Monday, Tuesday, in that time frame before Thanksgiving of doing a thunderclap, where everybody we know, one day, one time, one message, it goes out from everybody in this room, every one of your partners, all of the 350 people who are part of the Road to Zero group, and everything like that. So instead of just one earned media piece going out from one state, this is like just kind of a noisy thing. So if Harris likes it. So here's what I'd like to do. I'm gonna go back to the office, and I talked to a couple of people, and they just went, "Oh, good idea, Sue. It's you go first already." You did it in 5 weeks. I can do it in a couple of weeks, right? So by the end, not next week, probably early the following week, we will get something out to everybody in this room about what we'd like to do, and it will be simple, and it will be direct, and it will just be one message about drunk driving the night before Thanksgiving. So I hope that you all say, that's a good idea, and we're going to participate in that, because I think we're going to, let's see if we can do that throughout the year. Maybe it's once a quarter or something, but let's try to get out there and make some noise collectively. So we're not just doing it piecemeal state by state. So you'll be hearing more from us on that. And I really just thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. Thank you for bringing your ideas. I hope we do this again in a couple of years because this is really energizing and I just loved every minute of it. So thank you very much.